Okay, we have a playable game where I've set up some obstacles. I have a player. I've used my movement script, and now I've created the camera follow script on the camera so you can follow me. The next big thing that most games have is some sort of scoreboard. So let's see if we can do that. I'll pull this down out of the way. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. First, we need to make, just like anything, we need to make the object that's going to be changed. So we're going to make a score object, a text object on our screen. And then we're going to do some code to be able to change what it says. So there we go. New. Now, you might think it's a 2D object. Text is 2D, but it doesn't appear anywhere in here. Text, in fact, for Unity is a form of UI, user interface, right? So part of the part, what people touch, see. So you see things like text, buttons, sliders, drop downs, fine, but that's in text. Now, all UI appears on what's called a canvas. So a canvas is sort of like the drawing board for where this is going to happen. So that's our giant canvas, and inside the canvas, there's our actual text. So we're going to change this text to score. Now, the thing that might be important for us, I mean, we can do all sorts of little like formatting things, whatever, is we kind of want to understand how does this look when we actually play the game. So there it is, tiny in the left-hand corner. Okay, let's try to understand the relationship here. I'm going to stop playing. What I want you to understand is that this is not, let's say, obvious, because when I look here, it looks like we have this big giant fuzzy score like the size of the whole universe. Well, no, we're kind of mixing 3D and 2D. So when we look at the canvas object, we are really thinking about it. This white line is your entire screen. Within that, we can start to make some choices about what we want to happen. But just understand that you're kind of looking, I don't know why it does this, to be honest, right? But it doesn't make any sense. So think of the white screen as what will be around the edges of the device. And it's completely separate from what's going on down here in our tiny little game at this point. So I'm gonna make this really big, maybe 60. Oh, it's gone. Why are you gone? You still say something, good. I think it's gonna be our sizing. So let's make this a little bigger. There it is, the box was too small. So notice I'm just using the 4 corners. And I'm gonna drag this. I want our score to be centered because I think that that looks nice. So I'm gonna cheat, and I'm basically gonna make the box the size of the whole screen and then hit center. So I don't have to figure out how to make it actually perfect. Arial's a terrible font, but you actually don't have any other choices unless we load something. So I'll just deal with it for now. All right, everything else, it don't really matter. I can start to choose colors. I can double click, right? So I can make something, you know, so it's not black. Okay, there. That's about all. We've got text. Let's play our game. Now you can see, right, this makes a little more sense. Okay, there's score. My game is playable, and score is basically just, you know, that text canvas layer is kind of just an overlay on top of everything that's happening. So we don't have to think about it moving or traveling in the world. It's just always there. Great. Now we need some code to make this thing actually do something. So let's go down here to player. I'm going to press F to focus on the player so I just figure out where it is. Okay. I'm thinking that probably the way that I'm going to keep score in this particular game is something like a timer. So maybe I'm going to start the timer at 1,000 and count down. So it's how fast can you get through the maze? When you get to the other side, we'll set a trigger, and then that will be, you know, pause the score and whatever. So we're going to attach it to the player because the player will be the thing that makes the score start and stop. We could also, you know, we did another one with eating the coins. Well, maybe we would make it so that on the collision, we check if the object is of type or tag coin, then add 1 to score. Another way to do it, for sure. But we're attaching it right now to the player. So that's our starting point. Add a component, new script. We're going to call this the score. Give it a minute. Yeah, there it comes. Good. The score, nothing. So let's go edit it. Now, as we're thinking about this, we have to sort of think about what links do we need within Unity. So in this case, I will need a finish line, but I haven't created it yet, so I'm just going to ignore that. I just want to see if I can get a score that starts at 1,000 and counts down and displays on the screen. That would be awesome for me right now, and then I'll deal with how to stop the score later. So really, I just want to be able to have the character moving and updating that text. Okay, so what I need reference to is that text box. So it's public, it's being referenced across multiple scripts, and it's of type text. How do we know that? Well, it's called text, right? Here is its transform component, or its component, right? And its name is text. This is going to be called score. Why don't you like this? Maybe it's here. Oh, I think we need to do this. Usually it does this automatically. It's a little strange. Let's try one more time. If I start typing text, there it is. Why did you not do it the first time? There, okay. This is what I expect. So we should just type text, use the smart tip that comes out of Visual Studio, and it will actually add a new line called unityengine.ui. Right now we're using a user interface in addition to everything else. I'm going to call this score text because the other thing that I need is a public integer, which is the score. Right, so I need a variable, which is a number, that contains the score. And then I need a reference to the text box where I display the score. Those are two separate things. Okay. So on update, well, we can just go an initial value of 1,000 because I'm counting down in this case. Okay. Every frame, let's say, I'm going to decrease the score by 1. So we will take score equals itself minus 1. Right, so that's a quick way. You could, many other games you might start at 0, so then you score equals score plus 1. That would be a fine way to do it too. So score equals score minus 1. Notice that this is just math. It's going to happen in the background. I will not see it occur anywhere in the game yet. I need to take this number and put it into the text box. Here's how I can do that. Oh, there's somebody at the door. Okay, we need to take score text. That's the name that I gave to some text object that's in the scene. So I'll link that in Unity. I've called it here score text. The funny thing is, it's actually text.text. Why? Because at first we're referencing the text component. Inside there, I'm referencing text, right? I want to be able to change this box with code. So text, score text, right? The component, and it's text. Needs to be what? I mean, I could set it to hello world, and it would do that. But I want to use a variable name. I want to set it to the score. So I might do something like that. So there's score, the number. Okay, score text, the text that goes inside there is score. We have an error. This is getting into more complicated territory, and you've just got to trust me for a little bit. C# and some of the older languages are very, very, very picky about types of data. Score is a number. Text fields take text. A number is not text. Right? So in code, there's a difference between something like 33 and 33. Humans, right, we read these as sort of their own, the same thing. But text objects are treated differently by the code than number objects. We have a bit of an issue because, well, this has always got to be a number. It needs to be a number to do math with it. But it has to be text to put it in a text box. This is such a classic and repeated problem But there's actually a method that's already been written for you to fix this. It's called toString. So I'm just gonna start writing to, I look for toString, hit enter. And then surprisingly, you didn't need those. You will need those. The little parentheses are sort of a way of indicating that something is a function. Notice how update has those parentheses, okay, toString. So I take score, the mathematical business, dot toString. So now the result of all this is the number score made into a string. Strings are text. Text can be displayed in text boxes. I don't see any errors, so I think this will actually work. I never promise, I've learned. Okay. Wait for everything to update. Oh, and before I hit play, you know that you've always got to check your links on your stuff. So it's attached to the player. The player is looking for a text object. Let's find a text object. Hey, it turns out there's only one in the entire game right now, so it's very easy to find. There it is. Score equals 1,000. There it goes. The clock is running. So we can see that, you know, 1,000 might work for something very small like this. But if I'm going to keep going, I either need to count slower, which would be a little bit trickier to do in code, but we could, or maybe start with a bigger number. And of course, you know, we're not checking for things like, did you lose when time runs out? That does work. I've got a scoreboard. Okay. For now, I am going to leave it there just because we're looking at two things. We're already doing camera follow. The score, I mean, we're looking at variables plus text objects plus linking them. You know, it's a lot. So we're not going to deal right now with how do we then say set a particular trigger or moment that makes the score stop counting down. It's going to be okay for now. What I will do is I'm going to make one more video showing you a different type of score counting.